You want to unmute yourself if you were talking to me? Yes? Oh, yeah, you were only muted on video. You know, I haven't watched any of his content in a while. How is Josh doing over there in Den of Nerds? I always liked him. I always felt like he was like the Bizarro version of me. You know what I mean? Where like if you were to draw a metaphorical line, we're probably closer together than a lot of other people, but he's still on the other side, you know? One thing that was really cool to see though is once he had a kid, he all of a sudden was like a lot more well-rounded and understanding for other perspectives, which is just bound to happen. And that's the problem with the incel community. That'll never happen.
I don't know why my mic was muted on the OBS side. But it shouldn't be on the TikTok side. I don't know why. Why was it muted anyway? Well, it ain't no mo.
Sometimes it's just changed for no freaking reason. Listen, I was playing a game. My first Luna Snow game after the update, and I ulted, and everyone on my team died because my ult defaulted in damage mode, and and I needed it in that 1 second. You know what I mean? And I was like, the heck, you know. Of course, I get flamed, but I'm like, I never use damage mode. I don't know.
So. Why I was muted. Since I was muted on the OBS side, a lot of you didn't hear me, but you heard Choco. But I read your message, Spooky Kitty, and long story short, I mean, it's been dead, and for some reason, the timer went off. 1 second. We're 11 minutes into the timer. Yeah, it's been dead, and they just keep coming back. You know, they have zero vindication? No. What am I trying to say? They have zero conviction, is what I'm trying to say. So glad those calling it their last chance aren't in the book and comic space. Speaking of which, it's been a productive 2-3 days. I finished Defy the Storm, Escape from Valo, Temptation of the Force, and I am halfway done with Tempest Breaker.
Okay. All right. So you actually passed me because I have not read Tempest Breaker, but
it's not. It's an audio drama. It's not a book.
Yeah. But I was off on a tangent doing some some other books.
The stuff that you keep on mentioning about, oh, it's such a good book. Is it about when Yoda and Elsa are talking about love?
Sorry, say it again.
Whenever it comes up in the chat and you guys are talking about like emotion and attachment, and it's usually like, since before I read this, usually it was like, oh yeah, Midnight Horizon, but like everyone was like, Temptation of the Force is such a good book for that. And then like I was like, so is this about like,
yes,
the love between Elzar and Avar, or the discussion of it between Yoda in Elzar, because I thought that was fantastic. He's like, is this wrong? He's like, I don't know. Basically. He's like, is it that simple? He's like, I mean, is that simple to you? Like, Jesus Christ. Someone else is in here. I hear air. It's Calfor.
Oh, hey, it's me.
Let me turn on your subs. There you go. Because I feel like a fan is on.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
But the Chuds are fighting Darth Paws versus Knights of Melvin, and both of them are mad at Theory. It's wonderful. Yeah. How's it going, Charles Olson? How are you boys doing? Doing okay. I feel like someone was going to say something. I heard a...
Yeah, well, well, it's because I need to talk to Charles, but I'm going to message you, and I have some stuff for you.
You know, Theory, I try to leave behind, but
So dumb.
because he promotes his shit and he spends money, it shows up on my recommended feed. No matter how many times I say don't recommend this channel, but the latest one I saw was Skeleton Crew's ratings even worse than Acolyte. And like some kind of graphic with Leslie Headland, and I'm just like, bro, you're still on this shit, like, for real.
The crazy part is people can't recognize the misogyny in it, of like, okay, the angry people will click on this video more if I show Leslie Headland, even though I'm talking about Skeleton Crew. Like, it's so obviously there, but like, I don't know, man. It's weird.
Blatant rage bait.
Are you guys more into audiobooks, ebooks, or physical media? I'll pick up physical media whenever I can, usually at like a con. Like if there's a publisher's booth, I'll get some signed copies. But usually it's audiobook and ebook, and then read and listen at the same time.
That's the way to do it right there. It's like you have a movie playing in your brain.
Oh yeah.
Lately I stray more towards audio, just because I'm usually doing something, or I like, and it might just be my ADHD brain. So I am audibly stimulated ADHD. So it's the sounds that are constantly distracting me, right? So like for most kids with ADHD, when you were little, they'd have you sit in the front of the class, right? So that you don't see other stuff and it doesn't distract you. Worst place in the world for me, because I hear all the stuff and that's what distracts me. So when reading like a physical book, I do struggle with those outside distractions, but in audio version, they don't exist. It's just me and the content. So that's really what I kind of came to terms with, but I still enjoy both, and I still do both.
Yeah, the last 3 that I finished in the last 2 days was just audiobook at 3x. I found this amazing balance while I'm out there grinding. Like when I'm waiting around, I put on like a show that I need to watch and finish. And then when I'm driving, I put on the audiobook, and I've been pumping through shows and audiobooks like never before. I used to listen to music all the time, but I was just like, man, I gotta, like, every single month it's just another book I'm behind. Every single month is another show I haven't finished, you know. And so like I even started Cloak and Dagger, just because I made a huge ass push last night from Bronze 3 to Silver 2 just with Cloak and Dagger, and I feel like it's because I can't trust anyone to heal.
And then you find you can't trust anybody to stand in your heels on them too, and it's like, I can't win.
Like literally, you can't make this shit up. That Magneto that did a whole circumference around my bubble.
Oh yeah,
and died.
dancing around
like, You went through all that effort to dance around it.
Sometimes
That's why I love Mantis so much, because you get to be the one killing. You get to just force feed them the heal, whether they want it or not.
That is
just do everything.
That is exactly why I play Mantis. And people don't get mad at you because in order to heal more, you need to hit headshots. And if you're not hitting headshots, you heal less, you know? It's amazing. What's the ADHD where you can't hear two people talking at the same time without losing your mind? So, like, I don't know. So growing up, I had the exact opposite problem where I would be in a room. Actually,
Xavier.
You know what? I would lose my mind. So no, that would be what I
Phonic
had.
dysplasia is what I was told when I was a kid.
But that's the thing is they don't compete. So I would be at a party and I could hear everyone's conversation at the same time and get the information from it. And I hated it. So like I didn't have trouble hearing them and understanding what was happening. But it was just intrusive. And so I would be like, you know, and I was the guy that you guys would all hate, right? Because I would like sit in a corner and play guitar. And it was because I just didn't want to talk to anyone. It wasn't like I thought I was so cool and like I was the party.
So funny.
I just
never went.
No, it's so funny because Choco's a drummer and I'm a guitarist. But whenever I would go to like parties and stuff, and most of my friends were musicians too, I would sit in the corner doing the drums. But I'm not a drummer. But it's funny that you say I was the guy that you hated because the way you explain it reminds me of, or the way you describe it reminds me of Xavier in Days of Future Past. You know, when he's talking to the old Xavier, he's like, I can't do it. All the voices. All the suffering.
That's what it was. So growing up ish kind of, but living in Southern California, there was always people that would go to a party and they would pull out a guitar because they wanted to impress everyone. And they would try to take over the guitar and would make awkward eye contact with every woman there. And it would just be the worst. And so, like, if you played guitar, people assumed that that's what you were doing. And you're like, no, I'm physically trying to hide behind this guitar.
Yeah.
So I can be here for like 3 hours and then I'm gonna go home.
Acolyte and TLJ caught astray again from certain creators who were supposedly talking about this show like it's rent-free in their minds. It is what it is, man. Every single year we hit the same notes. Kylo Ren didn't lose. Well, Kylo Ren lost. Rey
well,
didn't beat him.
specifically, people were
Rey's
saying
not a Minisu.
that because of the reaction to Last Jedi, that's why Solo failed. And it's so dumb because the direct sequel made $1 billion. Like, what are we talking about here? People didn't lose interest in the story. They still came back for more of the story.
They're still coming back.
And like, I don't know, it was just funny to me because like, the movie Solo didn't do well, but there was so many things going against that movie. Not the least of which was, I don't think, I mean, I wasn't interested. I'm arguably a pretty big Star Wars fan, but even
Really?
I was like, why? why are they making this movie? All right.
Here's the thing, man. Star Wars has been dead since 2019. It keeps dying. Kathleen Kennedy is responsible since 2014. She keeps on getting fired.
Yeah, no, she got fired every month.
It was dead since Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's been the
people-
same arguments since Star Wars has existed.
Canon keeps breaking. It's like
It was
seems like
even with A New Hope,
this-
like it was a terrible, like, affront to Hollywood.
yeah.
And
It
like,
seems like
yeah.
Star Wars is the largest shit show they keep on coming back to watch.
Yeah. Correlation versus causation argument, basically. And I'm not going to say that what they're saying is entirely wrong. I'm sure some people didn't like The Last Jedi so much that they didn't go see Solo. But like those people, if that's how you felt, you didn't go see Episode 9.
Yeah.
Like, if it was so bad you weren't invested in the story, you didn't go see the continuation of the story. Like, to claim that is, like, objectively dumb.
Our friend Lauren
'Cause the movie made $1
hasn't
billion.
seen any of the sequels. She doesn't want to, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Original critics hated R2 and C-3PO. Yeah, our favorite space lesbians.
Ewoks.
Ewoks.
That's the other. That's the other
dark
stray
tones
people keep
of Empire Strikes Back. Like, there's always been people just being very critical of Star Wars.
And the funny thing about the Ewoks too is it's like, if you hated the Ewoks, then you missed the point of Star Wars.
Spooky says, I like Theory because the guy is a genuine fan. Dude just seems kind of dumb and easily manipulated by reactionaries online. That's why he's not a carpet nugget. He's just Chet. And Chet's the one that will literally change their tone at the drop of a dime because it's the popular thing to do. And I wouldn't even say carpet nuggets is the popular thing to do. It's just that it's the most lucrative, and that's why he is the way he is. Because when he watched the trailer for Skeleton Crew, he was like, oh, this looks fun. So it's not even like...
Well, a lot of times his initial reviews, too, are like, this was fun, and then, like, a week later, this is terrible, they're ruining Star Wars. And it's just like, okay, we're back.
I mean, I'm less charitable on that front nowadays, because he's directly acknowledged that he grifts, or been like, hey, you say this thing, so then I'll say that, and then that'll cause controversy and it'll get more views. Like, he's direct, he's aware of that stuff.
Yeah. Shout out to Daniel Ortiz. Hello. Shout out to Geek of All Trades.
Right, Skeleton Crew is awesome. Daniel Ortiz, what's your favorite thing? Who was your favorite part of the Skeleton Crew?
Another Skeleton Crew live stream. Another time Choco doesn't don the Skull and Crossbones hat. He's doing it maliciously at this point.
I know. I made a video earlier today with the Skull and Crossbones hat on purpose.
Oof.
It's just never gonna happen, man.
Nope.
I just wish that Jar Jar as a character and the actor Ahmed Best didn't get so much hate. They act like he didn't fit the rest of the goofiness in the franchise. I just wish no one got hate, to be honest.
You know, I always, or not always, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately, is as you can hate Jar Jar all you want. He did an amazing job performing Jar Jar. He did so well that and I think this is probably what led to some of the hate. You forgot he was a person under there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he embodied this goofy character so much that you forgot that's a human adult man, and his physical comedy and all that stuff. Like, dude is super talented. And that type of role, that type of all CG role wasn't a thing then. It wasn't a thing. And that's the craziest part to me about, George Lucas being a madman, is like, the prequels are like the first movies to be shot entirely digital. And he changed everything.
Oh, I mean, I feel like that was with every trilogy. There was, in almost every movie, there was some new, like, pioneering thing with technology that was used. Like, almost consistently. That's, I feel like been the whole crux of Star Wars. Not to mention, when I was a kid, I enjoyed Jar Jar. Because he's made for kids.
I mean, stagecraft is being used all across Hollywood now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not even Lucas. I mean, just like Lucasfilm just continues to, and that was Favreau too. It wasn't even Lucasfilm at that point, but you know what I mean. Like, Star Wars is at the forefront.
Yeah, I mean, that was ILM though, and that's what ILM was created to do.
Yeah.
Favreau was brought in there not because he was familiar with the technology, but he was familiar with the concept of it. because they specifically brought him in because of his work on Lion King. In those movies, everything was set up digitally, but it was created so that you would look through your camera and you would see the world and your creatures while the actual actors are on a stage. And so and they used a game engine for that. And it was really cool technology. But yeah, no, he wasn't responsible for the stagecraft to shoot everything into, to bring the world that's inside of that camera on the outside. That was ILM.
Shout out to Cheeto. Dude, I'm so stoked for this episode. User co saved. All right, we have like 4 minutes, so why don't we discuss what's going to happen in this episode?
JYAD backstory? No, if Neil doesn't get on that gun, I'm going to be so mad. It's the biggest Chekhov's gun I've ever seen.
Yeah. Blue Go Gamer says, if you're here, press like. Absolutely. Deploy the likes, guys. Show your support. Let us know how you feel. You can even dislike if you want, but I don't encourage it.
It makes me feel bad, so don't, please.
No, I think, you know what? I made this prediction a while ago, and I think I'm sticking with it. I think though DYAD doesn't redeem himself as a pirate, he does kind of endear himself to the kids and doesn't go through with it. And as much as he wants this treasure, he's like Rocket, he's gonna get the treasure, but not by pillaging it, but by defending the planet from the other pirates. That's my pitch for this episode.
Other than Neil on the gun, I do need resolution with Wim understanding that he has to grow up, but that he doesn't have to lose a sense of adventure. And something to redeem essentially the Jedi as a concept in his mind. Because the closest he's seen is now JYAD, who's being a dick.
Do you think there's going to be okay, is there a chance, and I'll get to you, Kel, before we start, is there a chance that we might see an actual Jedi and it's not to say it's a cameo, but like an actual Jedi that like makes an appearance to dispel or keep Wim's hopes alive for that particular concept? And you can make it part of your answer too, Cal, for this episode.
I think for me, I guess I don't want to say expectations, because like if they don't happen, that's okay. But I feel like JYAD won't be redeemed. I feel like it'll be like the demonstration of what greed does to a person, and that like it will be his downfall, and teach the kids that lesson of like, don't be like this guy, because it will not work out for you, whether he's like imprisoned in one of the vaults or whatever the case might be, to where it's like, yeah, no, you have your prize, but it's not what you want.
Greed imprisons us all.
Yeah, I was gonna quote Rush Hour 2, but but yeah, so I feel like that might wind up happening to some degree. And then as far as I feel like it's gonna end with a like time skip and show that now I can't remember his name. Is it Wim? Who's the Wim, right? Yeah. It's going to show him as an adult now that At-Aten has like opened up to the rest of the galaxy, and he's the one like leading their rediscovery of like the galaxy in that way, to where he gets to live his life as an adult, as an adventurer and stuff like that. I don't know. That's where I would think would be cool to go.
And as an adult, he's just Michael Jackson in Captain EO.
Yeah, that's true. Con Skywalker says, finally not at work. I can watch the episode when it comes out. Right on.
Nice.
I want at least one kid being Force sensitive. LOL, and they don't need to be a Jedi. Just follow the Force naturally. KB.
I was gonna say.
Quinlan Voss!
I know who you're gonna vouch for.
I don't want him redeemed, but I don't want him to die or leave. Yep. All right, yeah, the episode is up. The potential end is near, boys. Shout out to Star Wars Mandalore. All right, we're ready to press play on this thing. We're not skipping recaps. So as soon as I press play, the episode timer will tell you where we are in the episode. So, in 3, 2, 1, go.
Do you want to kill the music too?
Oh, true.
Good idea.
Yeah, he killed me. I don't want to see him redeemed.
But he didn't kill the little snowball.
Oh. I've enjoyed this harp lead.
Yeah, it's still one of those intros that gives you goosebumps.
That gives me goosebumps.
It sounds Old Republic. I'm sorry. And they're not surprised at a lightsaber, which means they are stuck in time. It's like, oh, it's just a Jedi emissary. Dang.
The sneer.
Yeah.
Should put some stank on that. Pass.
Oh, that's one thing I forgot about in that prediction. But everybody knows. Wizard of Oz situation. That kid's good at the sneer. Oh, got air fryers. I wouldn't believe that face if I were a parent.
Dang. Parents just don't understand.
They don't get me.
No one. It's not a person. Geek.
It's just a skeleton in a chair. I'm like, what are orders now, sir? Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I like it. It very much feels like a Hal reference. Oh,
So they did receive Order 66, I guess. I don't know. Does the supervisor sound like Palpatine? No, doesn't particularly. Oh! We have a mothership situation.
it's hard to believe the computer was running everything that actively.
It seems like a fabricated planet, so.
God damn, she's sneezing. I didn't know a lightsaber can sound so murderous. It's got that Star
Seems like the
Wars
supervisor
Republic.
gets constant updates in the galaxy, but the citizens don't. I mean, and even that wouldn't be constant. But yeah, it does sound like he didn't share. Come on, Neil. Better get on that gun.
I'm sure he will. I forgot how small the planet is. Confined to his quarters, he relegated to having a bubble bath.
God.
It's a mood.
They do give KB the best hero shots.
It's true.
That over her back looking at the ship was just badass.
Conditioned much.
Grow a pair. Let's go.
Oh, they're gonna call Luke Skywalker. Jeez.
Yes, swim.
He's gonna go GTA on that swoop. He pressed triangle on that kid.
Dad bike jacked him. Yeah.
I love the color grading on these shots, man.
I like it.
I wouldn't be able to make this jump on Outlaws.
Relatable. Relatable.
Whoa!
My boy.
Wait, no, he's where he needs to be. That's the school.
Yeah. That doesn't mean I can't worry for him. Yeah.
Oh man.
It's all coming together.
I want to play this game.
Right?
There's a
Get
boot.
Rector. Y'all's kids are cooler than you.
The first time his dad's looked cool. Level 7.
Little to no.
Okay,
Level
but in the
one's
meantime,
best, though.
you gotta fix me. Sorry, I'm feeling hype.
For light and life.
Woo! Hey, wee mannequin. This hype. This finale's good. They got gats.
And get cut up by the lightsaber. I did say Jod was going to try to rule it, right? They're getting a lot of value out of their FX budget.
He's walking like he has a gun taped to his back.
Say when.
The look on his face of like, the hell?
Smee's gonna be the nav computer. It's gonna be a whole new L33 again. Oh, he said his name is Wee Man I Can, not Wee Mannequin.
Hey, there you go.
Sorry, Urkel.
Oh no.
Run.
Neil's getting his run away from fire scenes. Run away from explosions.
This is smart enough to realize.
Oh. I knew it. Of course, it's that shot. I bet they can. I bet they know now. Oh, they just turned it off. Yeah.
Okay, so Judge doesn't want to get his hands dirty, though.
Who?
Dang. Khan, you got to join us after the episode.
No, you won't.
Get it, Wim. He's gonna accidentally turn it on, but he's gonna pull it to himself.
Yeah.
Do something, fam.
Oh, gross. Bending his fingers backwards.
It says push to start.
Follow the pipes in the ceiling. Oh, he got his saber shot. But he doesn't have the force. Or does he? That is a chonky barrier.
The sounds are so cool.
Now the frogs and the cicadas come out.
They were outside the barrier. It's been so long.
Ooh,
Hey, we got some bee wings.
We're getting some Republic action.
I love the sound of X-wing blasters too. Oh,
my
these are
gosh.
the OGs.
Let's go.
They were like, there's some things that the Death Star had right.
No, that's the OG. That's what Harris did on the very first one, and in Rebels.
Got the Empire shot.
Yeah. He's asking, why must I be like that? Why must I chase the cat? Nothing but the dog in me.
Urkel's going down with the ship.
Ugh. That's a lot of damage.
That's a whole new ruin to explore, too. I mean, just pick up a couple and then just dip. You know? It's got to be worth like $10,000.
Enough to buy a new ship?
Man, I would have ran to someone's house, changed clothes, and been like, yes, the great work.
Right?
Yes.
I've been here the whole time. They even get a cool fake out death shot sliding down with a bunch of gold.
Right?
Well, that's the thing. It's like Treasure Island. They're at the... They have
Listen,
their pile of gold.
Last time I got a golden shower, it went nothing like that.
Another happy landing. Hey, yo, not the golden shower.
That's an invasive species, sir.
The real good guys. Oh, it's a Corvette.
Woo!
Let's go.
Just
Whose
flying
Corvette
through
is it?
smoke is so
Whose Corvette
badass.
is that? Is that Leia's? Is that Leia's Corvette?
I mean, it might be.
I still want to see Holdo, but
okay. That to me reads like an ending to this whole thing. Like I don't,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, we got some Jedi holo novels.
I love that there's enough questions that could still be answered by like a book or a
Yeah.
comic run, but like it still feels like a complete story, and I love it.
Con, you wanna join us and talk?
I gotta say, as
Let
the
us know.
actors' names kind of grace the screen, the kids did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Their acting, their performance.
Oh yeah.
We're getting a lot of
it's-
lore drops in these pictures, by the way.
It's what's interesting to me is that it wasn't just one good kid actor, but like an ensemble, and I think that's like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, I'm keeping it playing for now. I don't want to spoil whether there's a secret ending or if it just ends, but that was a fantastic show. If it ends here, great. Great story.
Yeah, and to be frank, I I mean, I hate this idea that like shows just have to run forever. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I agree.
I wouldn't be. Oh, I thought that was like a sizzle. Like it's gonna pan.
Okay, I do like that though. We show it that it's on his little tablet thing, meaning this is
just one
also
story.
one of those tales that you can read. Yeah.
All right. Let me see. Nope, that's truly the end. That is truly the end. Let's stop it here.
The real good guys.
Melvin is watching you. That's great. He has nothing else better to do. Don't let the trolls get to you. Nah, it's okay. No end credits. Yep. It's all non-canon in universe myth. Universe myth. I don't know. I mean, it's a cool little thing to think about. Like that end shot that it might be just another hollow novel tale that they're telling. But, you know, I mean, it does work to be like a hollow novel tale.
It does work in that, but then also we have the tale of, Captain Reynard, which was all tall tales, but they were true. So, like, I don't, like, it's not to say, oh, the story's not canon, but because of that end scene, you know?
Forgot I muted myself. That's it's just such a good show. Such a good show. That finale was incredible. And, you know, I don't really have much to say after that. I mean, like that was a great finale. They landed it.
Yeah.
That was fun.
They landed it better than the ship.
I feel like when I was a kid, I was obsessed with like the speeders they used on Endor, and then like the same speeder, not same, but like the same type of like speeder bike that Anakin had in Episode 2. And I feel like if this movie or the show had come out when I was a kid, their little hover bikes, I would have eaten up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the little bike jumping scene. I mean, I felt hype watching that because I mean that used to be me. I was always jumping stuff on it, and I don't know. That leap of faith was cool.
How'd you like the episode, Obi-Wan Kenobi? It's like a Tales of the Jedi type thing. They may not get all the events correct, but it's the core of what happened. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of content with either way, whether or not this is a canon event or if it's like a legendary myth, like tale that's told in the canon universe. Because it all works. I mean, like the way that Jod said that they're all dead, and that the supervisor had received a message that they were all traitors. But no one really knew still what was happening outside of the galaxy. So it all kind of still canonically is in continuity. But if it were just another tale, that would be awesome too. And that kind of gives them a vehicle to tell more stories that are kind of in the same vein. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be canonically accurate, so long as it is within the framework of it being just another story. From Whim's viewfinder is what
I also just like that, like, not every story needs to directly tie into the Skywalker saga. Like, it can just be its own story within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. Akani says, I hope Wim meets a real Jedi someday in his travels in the Outer Rim. Yeah, I hope he meets Quinlan Voss. You know, potential season 2. So,
I mean, after this, he may not want to be a Jedi anymore. He was looking with a lot of excitement on these New Republic ships. I can for sure see him being a pilot.
That's true.
Like, every comment he made too was always about the ship itself too, right? Like, oh, cool ship, right? Like, and stuff like that. So I feel like he's just Chase at that point.
Yeah. No, for sure. Now, as to whether or not this needs a season 2, no, they stuck the landing. It's It's a great story. I would be thrilled or content if it didn't really continue. There are a lot of characters, a lot of side story potential for books and comics for them to explore. But as for it needing a season 2, it doesn't. I would be happy if they continued a different narrative with certain characters we've met here. But this main plot has been done. It's complete.
Yeah, I don't need like another season, but I would like to see how the story of what happens on that end shakes out, you know?
Yeah. And just like Akane says, what happens to Jod, like, that's one of the things that really doesn't need an answer. You know, he could just be staying in the tower. He hides out there, and then like the X-Wing pilots come up and arrest him, or he just stays hiding out. It doesn't really matter. I do wonder if Jod has narrative life, and I think it does to some certain extent. Maybe perhaps finding out that no, he had to watch them kill his mentor. So that
pretty definitive.
Well, I mean, like Jod now, I see. Obviously, there was no redemption in there, but
yeah,
you got to see like the crumb of a kid who had the potential to be good, who was taught to be good, but had the bad stomp it out of him. And now he's seeing good triumph for like the first time, and he's in his feels about it, you know?
Yeah, he wanted things to succeed so badly, but he was also hesitant for it to take a downward spiral. It's like, it didn't have to be like this. I don't want to hurt anyone, you know, but I still want to get my gold.
Except Brutus.
Yeah.
He enjoyed that.
Said.
Oh yeah.
It's like what he said though too, that like the galaxy's a dark place with little specks of light in it. So like he was somebody looking for those specks, right? Like he always wanted to find it, but he was just never in a situation that he could. Or anytime he was, it was always snuffed out. So I think that like it's one of those things where he was content being defeated because he's like, there is still good out there. Like, this isn't something that needed to go down.
It's like what Geek of All Trades said. It looked like he was free when the ship got shot down. Potentially, he was kind of psychologically marooned in this kind of headspace of being a pirate. And then when everybody that was relying on him, being Captain Silvo, was kind of wiped out, or at least kind of taken care of or dealt with, he no longer had to be that captain. So I get that he looked free in the window. I imagine his tale after the fact is, you know, he gets arrested. You know.
Yeah.
Pinpricks of light. Which brings me to a Cloak and Dagger. Darkness isn't the absence of light. It helps me see the light. Or
God, I hate their lines so much, just because they're from a specific time and era that it just sounds weird. Now.
Yeah.
People don't understand that Ty's not actually evil. He's just black.
The New Republic might need his help whilst he is imprisoned. Cue new story with marshals hunting pirates. I still think that for all intents and purposes, I still think that Star Wars needs a pirate tale. You know, but like one of those like light-hearted, good pirates, like a Hondo kind of story. So what we know...
I mean, you could even tell stories like, like what we got with, God, what was the name of the book? The book was the prequel to the Solo film, and you follow Kira and her rise through the ranks and stuff. And as you like
Was it Crimson
as you
Climb?
read that book, yeah, Crimson Climb, which is not the greatest book, but the insight that you get into Kira is like she looks at Han as this goofy golden retriever who always is going to, at the end of the day, hope for the best, and she's just not that person, and so she actually does darker and darker stuff as the story goes on. I think we could get a similar story like that of Jod, of him being hopeful. I mean, the story's going to end in a dark place, but he ran his own crew for a while. That was good.
What we really need now, outside of like my wants for a Jedi story, is Afra. I think Afra is the most potent story that can work in this type of like isolated storytelling framework.
I still want to see a Dex's Diner show where it's him just recapping different tall tales, and then like they could have like a pirate episode.
That there's a Camino saber taught. This is how I know what that is.
That there's from Ad-Atten. How do you know about it?
So what we know is that he was already really poor, alone, then met a Jedi. She got gunned down in Order 66 and forced to fend for himself, now as a Jedi resorting to piracy, and money was his excuse. I don't think he was ever a Jedi. He said that she taught him a few tricks before things went down.
I feel like that kind of implies that Order 66 had happened. They were a survivor of Order 66, found him, trained him, but then while they were just existing, an Inquisitor found them or something.
Yeah, I mean, or the pirates. I can't remember his exact line, but to me it sounded like whatever pirates captured killed him. And I mean, the exact same thing happened to Asajj Ventress, except they weren't like mobile pirates.
The New Republic could use the credits after a certain big red beam hit their capital. Well, that's way in the future, but that also explains how they could literally build a whole ass new capital on Hosnian Prime, like the way that planet looks in the sequels. They probably did get those credits. I'm like, oh shit. I was thinking maybe like a Padawan. I get that she probably trained him on the side, not official. Well, I mean, nothing is truly official with the Order kind of just gone. Luke Skywalker just creates his own and is like, I'm a master now. Same thing with Asajj Ventress. She was never a Jedi, but she was trained as a Jedi. But she never got brought to the Order. There was no like official things. Cheerful Cupcake. Wow, loved it, especially with Wim yelling Jod at the end. He wanted to believe there was a bit of good in him. Mm-hmm. I think the good in him was to kind of take accountability and stay there, honestly.
I mean, even honestly, Jod could have killed them at a lot of points along the way, and if he was any other pirate, if it was Brutus down there instead of Jod, he would have.
Oh yeah, no question.
Very, very sure about that. As for no force sensitivity in the kids, that was just something that I threw out there. It's not really something that I thought was going to happen. But I'm glad I got Choco on the side of KB's got the best hero shots. She's got the best fake out deaths too. As Cal pointed
I mean,
out.
yeah, first place out of one is still good.
A live action Clone Wars era series would be welcomed. I think with everything that we're learning about Ahsoka Season 2, with the potential of Ewan McGregor coming back to don his armor, I think we're getting more flashbacks to it. And I hope that that's where it stays. Because we really don't need a live action Clone Wars. I would like to see flashbacks with them. With like Ahsoka and them like a live action version, but I don't want to see entire storylines that we've had already, you know?
Yeah, I just don't want to see Star Wars get stuck in this phase of like arrested development of
Episodic content rather than like meaningful progressive story that actually affects the actual universe.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Clone Wars, but at one point in time, the Clone Wars were new. You know, in 2008, when the Clone Wars came out, I saw it in theaters. I saw the Clone Wars movie in theaters, and I hated it. I didn't watch the show for a very long time. But, you know, we still need an influx of continuing stories and new things, you know?
Yeah. Geek says, I knew this, though, when he didn't step on the rat after he cut down 33.
Yeah. I had that same thought.
Mm-hmm.
I still want the backstory for all of them. I mean, yeah, like I said, even if this show doesn't need a continuation or need a season 2, there's still potential for side quests in other mediums. I mean, I'll be the first to say it. I want a book on KB. I want a book on Jod. Or a comic. Depends, you know. Or it could work for both.
I mean, there's got to be a lot of stories in the in-between of Jod just being this pirate that secretly uses the Force and marauds people around the galaxy. That would just be great from her content.
Kenny says seeing the B-Wings have the laser cannons in live action was amazing. That whole scene was epic. It really...
Because that was one of the things that, like... When the B-Wing was shown first in, I mean, it's not the first time it was shown, but when we saw it in Rebels and it had that, and you're like, what? How come they didn't use that? And, you know, canonically it was expensive and all these issues, but it's cool to see that it wasn't abandoned technology.
So it looks, also I wanted to point out, it looks like they knew the supervisor was a droid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if they knew about it in kind of a Scientology way. Like you have to be at this level and then you know.
Yeah. Though everybody that after the assessment knows about the great work, right? And so she said, as decreed by the great work.
Yeah. So, what I'm saying is I'm curious at what level you learn different things, because again, the last thing that and even the supervisor heard about Order 66, but of course that was what 25 years earlier, 30 years earlier, and so like it was getting updates, but not telling the people, and I'm sure the people at the top knew things that the people beneath them,
on a need-to-know basis.
Wendell bragged about being a 7th level engineer, and that's why he could do the thing, Can 6 levels to it? I don't know.
7.
Is 6 above 7? Does it go to rank 1 as top? Like, we don't know.
Does he get into gold at any point?
Yeah, right.
I mean...
When does he hit GM?
The way he bragged about it, because 7 doesn't seem like something you brag about when it goes down in rank.
No.
It's like if 1 is like the highest level, you're not like, I'm 7. Like,
I mean, if it's, you never know if it's like,
I feel like
top 500, like, right? I'm gonna brag about being number 7.
I feel like there would be like 10 levels. Rank 10, not rank 10, but level 10, because they do have at least within the framework of like the FBI and intelligence community, you don't have level 1 clearance, you have level 5. Seeing the B-Wing laser again was amazing.
Yeah, there's nothing about this show that wasn't just gorgeous.
Yeah. Loved the color grading. Loved, like, some of the scenes looked like cheap, like CG wise, but the way they graded it gave it a certain like artsy feel to all of the visuals that made it look kind of like Goonies quality type of like epicness, which
I felt like the only time that the CG was like that was when it was primarily on Atten, but I also feel like that's to also set this like almost dystopian effect to it all, where everything's like synthesized and sterile.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
The scene that I'm talking about, for me at least, was the swoop bike chase when they were being chased by the pirates, and like all these explosions were happening. I can see the separation between the CG and the actors. I can see where they became CG. But at the same time, like I said, it was graded in a way where it felt like an art decision rather than, oh, this just looks cheap. You know what I mean?
I guess I was more distracted by the explosions.
It made it feel like it was shot on film. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And I mean, you can't tell me that bike scene did not have full-on ET vibes.
Oh, true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously they did the thing that just happens in family things where obviously the pirates aren't gonna just shoot them and they'll be dead. Same thing as a James Bond thing where trained snipers in Crow's Nest can't hit them, but he can hit them with a pistol while running. But yeah, it's Star Wars. It is what it is.
Pirates be drunk.
That's true.
From The Simpsons, the protester Jesse Grass from Dirt First says, "I'm a 5th level vegan. I don't eat anything that casts a shadow."
That's really funny.
Man, I remember that episode. Man, I need to catch up on The Simpsons. I'm like 15 seasons behind.
I've never watched The Simpsons.
And yes, it is still going.
On to Andor 2. I mean, yeah. That CG is gonna look great because that production has such a balloon of a budget. But the finale was great. The story concludes. My favorites remain the same. I have high hopes for a potential continuation in other mediums of other stories, whether it be like backstories or just a comic where KB fixes something. I don't know. What do you guys want? If there is like B-side stories to this, what would you like to see or read?
I mean, just early Jod, pirate with the Force, tales. I think that'd be sick. Give me just a blurb. Like, I don't need a story, but just a blurb of like, after the pirates attacked Atten, they were absorbed into the New Republic and yada yada yada. And then give me a follow-up comic. Years later of that crew getting back together to explore the galaxy.
A blurb. So you want something as deep and detailed as Darth Nihilus' story?
Dang.
Because that's.
I want to see how all of the other planets that started with At fell, like At Akron and all that.
Ooh, that'd be good. That'd be a good comic series if like each issue was the story of one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And each one kind of went back in time and like got us to like, this is why they were created and the thought process behind it and all that stuff. That'd be cool.
Homer decides to open his own dispensary that mimics a sketchy drug deal, putting their two businesses at odds. Well, that's a sentence. I have doubts that any are gone. I mean, what if they all still have those shields? It depends. We only know about Ad Akron.
Well, I mean, it was stated that the others were destroyed. So I think that implies that
Wasn't
there's only
stated.
one planet.
Kim said that the tail goes, right? And with that acronym being
Is that not stating it?
no, but when Kim says the tail goes, that all of the planets were destroyed except for one, but we landed on an acronym that wasn't destroyed. That means there's some leeway with the accuracy
So
of
I
that.
consider Ad Akron destroyed. I don't mean like the planet was gone and vaporized, but I mean it being a gem,
civilization
it having its
there, yeah.
purpose.
The barrier.
Like they were
Its
set up to
core
do this
function.
thing, and then that was no longer running on any of the planets except for this last hidden one. But we can see.
I think there's room in the tale to infer that if they were not like vaporized, then some form of the planet still exists, and it would be cool to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
I would love to see Wim and Neil actually meeting prolific figures in the Republic. I would like to see Fern getting into a seat of authority on the planet, and KB over technological advancements. First comment was the episode info where Marge gets a job in a pot shot. The story felt like the planets for sure are in ruin, but people may still live on them. I just want a comic series now called The Jewels of the Old Republic, because then that would give us a canon comic that has the Old Republic in the title. But I think the next
Like
one,
what if you get the Jewels of the Old Republic and it's just like Nihilus's balls or something?
still doesn't need planets.
Still sound like a toilet when he talks.
Does Nihilus flush clockwise or counterclockwise? How are y'all feeling after that episode? Great. That was a great show.
Oh,
How's it going,
That was
JJ? Hope you enjoyed
yay!
the show. If you've watched the show, TLJ vibes at the end. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
all winning actually.
Yeah, I agree with that. I never lose. True. Facts.
Legends never die.
I never miss.
I never miss. And just give me a show in Star Wars that starts with hack and slash. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Trilla Nation also won. What does that mean?
I'm trying to think if there was any reference to Trilla or what she'd be referring to.
Josh says.
Oh,
incredible
Josh gave me
show.
Trilla vibes, and I near cried. Yeah,
Oh.
I can see.
Accepting being evil, accepting the fate.
Avenge us.
Josh says incredible show. First thing to have me this engaged with Star Wars since Mando season 2. Right on.
Dude, I felt connected and I was hyped. Like I was feeling the anxiety of moments and stuff. I love being drawn into things.
And this is the type of storytelling where I wasn't, even though we kind of was like, the finale needs to be longer. I feel like that was well done.
Cheerful Cupcake, have a good one. Take care.
What are your predictions for Wim? I think
Check out season 31, episode 17. I will absolutely check that out.
become a pilot or something like that. Yeah, that's what Choco was saying. Wim was looking up at the stars, jaded with the Jedi. He was Jedi'd.
Well, no, I mean, he had admission that he wasn't actually a Jedi, but he knew one. And they were good. They just died for being good, you know?
Is there a season 2? The ending was a bit sudden. I don't think there is a season 2. They haven't confirmed a season 2. The ending, to me, it just felt like a curtain call, really, rather than sudden. But I know what you mean when it comes to like, you know, where's Jod going? Like, what's going to happen with him? And like, there's a lot of aftermath left to be told, narratively. But I also think it's inconsequential to the main plot, which was basically, you know, the kids getting back home and defending their planet from the outside dangers.
And opening it up to the world, and even though the galaxy's a dangerous place, like, there's still good in it.
Yeah. Honestly, the lack of lightsaber usage was pretty appreciated. Like, even Jod wasn't spamming its usage, but rather resorted to his blaster and the force ability he did have. Yeah, it kind of showed that, you know, he's still not sound with it, you know. He could use it. I mean, force users do have that advantage with it. Can't watch till I'm home with my girlfriend. Spooky, how do you remain surprised after all of our discussion? Unless you just mute us and just say that and type that in chat.
Jod smirk at the end. The whole shot is beautiful. Honestly, I mean, the subtext of the shot was just that Whim reminded him of that person. Because even at the very end, Whim still was like, Jod! You know, still wanted to save him. Whim is one of those pinpricks of light.
Harith says, like it's good cake. Like it's a good cake. They're sure there isn't whipped cream, but the whipped cream isn't that necessary to the cake. It depends on what cake, honestly. Some cakes desperately need whipped cream and icing.
Well, then it's not a good cake. I don't know.
I horridly misheard what you said.
Huh?
I am not repeating it.
You know what I said. It would have had a Return of the King effect where it would have had like 3 different endings. TASG Talk says so many great shots. That was the entirety of the show was so well shot.
There's something about ships flying through smoke or through clouds that just gets me. Like, the showing the depth of it and like the lighting effects. And maybe it's because these are things that couldn't be done in the past, but now, but can now. But yeah, it looked great.
I also
the
like
one shot with the X-wings coming down, and then the brass swelling in the orchestra. So good. That was peak Star Wars. I'm like, yes, and then the kids looking up, and then the people like, yeah.
Exactly. I feel like it really only requires kind of like it doesn't even require, but like I feel like there's a certain level of like common knowledge about Star Wars that pretty much anybody who's paid attention to any form of pop culture knows. Like, people know lightsabers, right? Like, my grandma probably knows what a lightsaber is, even though she's probably never seen Star Wars.
Yeah.
And like it plays in the fantasy of a lot of that stuff. Like, people have probably seen an X-wing, not necessarily knowing what it is or why, but like getting to see the cool action shots with it and like, oh, those are the good guys and stuff like that. It's I don't know, it's just cool. Like, it's something that stands on its own and is still very intrinsically Star Wars.
Definitely. I really love the alien invasion imagery from people in the planet looking in shock and awe. It's a trope I feel has been lost to film history, which is why I love KB's hero shot, because it's kind of like I may be misremembering, but it's kind of like the shot from First Contact, or maybe this is like Mandela effect. There's a movie poster, and it's a sci-fi movie where it is just a person looking up, and it's just the spotlight from an alien ship or UFO. Is that Hitchhiker's Guide, or is that Space Odyssey? Am I just like fabricating this entirely in my head?
I mean, I have a picture in my mind, but I also might be fabricating it in my head, so I couldn't tell you. I will say that, like, the way that the ship crashed, it looked well, it just somewhat reminded me, like the big main pirate ship.
Yeah.
Reminded me of the exact opposite of War of the Worlds, of those aliens that came out of the ground.
Didn't look like Disney Plus for sure, and this is one gripe I have, not with the show but with Disney Plus. This whole episode mandate needs to go away. Like, this show successfully nailed the narrative in 8 episodes, but do I feel like Skeleton Crew could have been 10? Yes. I do think it could have added a little bit more meat on the bones given the time. But with what they had,
Frankly,
it's great.
bring back 22 episode seasons of shows. I'm sorry. I know that's probably like price prohibitive with Star Wars. I just mean, when you have 22 episodes, you have a main arc for the entire season, but you also have mini arcs that let you get to know the world and get you know each of the characters, so that when stuff happens, you're in the grips of it, you know?
Yeah. When DYAD tells his story, I feel like that could easily be one episode, like we were talking about with the previous episode of the DYAD-centered episode. You know.
Yeah.
If we do like 22 episode seasons, I wouldn't be mad at like 20-minute episodes. Because then if you're squeezing in like an 8 episode season, you're kind of like tiptoeing between 30 and 40 all the time. And it's just like, do 22 episodes, they're all 23 minutes, or 12 episodes of all 30 minutes. You know what I mean? It's just, we have to leave behind the cable era of time slots.
Mm-hmm.
You also get the episodes where the main character chases a fly. Yes. Absolutely. 20 episodes. We used to be a proper country. Sadly.
What that made me think of, Pep, I sent you a message on Discord, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes.
There's just the famous shot of the kid opening the door and seeing the ship.
Okay, so
that's what it made me think of.
But yeah, that definitely has the same vibes.
Ba, 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 ba.
What was the name of that alien rat species Neil grabbed? I don't think it was said.
Goopus.
That's canon.
Yep.
A bilge rat. Are you talking
Honestly,
about bilge
that
snipe
works.
from Thor's World? Can we get a show called Thor's World in the vein of Bobby's World?
JJ, I'll die for Goopus.
I don't think it is actually Goopas though.
It's certainly not. I just completely made that up.
I will say I almost came out of my seat through my monitor when it looked like
Freezing.
When it looked like John was gonna step on him.
Oh yeah. No, I was prepared to be very upset.
Choco. I know it might be a thing, but like, try to choose your pauses better.
Listen, I can't control where your mind goes. That's not where my mind is.
Listen. When you pause, you allow for the mind to go there. Nisana Gupas!
I'd love it if a Star Wars did a 22 episode animated show every year or two. Yeah, I mean, that's... We need to spend time, you know, just marinating in the characters. It's one of the reasons why Rebels is so beloved. Is, you know, we have certain episodes where it's just them trapped somewhere, and it doesn't progress the overarching story, but it does a hell of a lot to progress our characters and their relationships with one another.
I just worry about like modern day culture, because any episode that doesn't give us an answer of some kind has people on the internet losing their mind. So like, there's part of me that worries, like, if they were to try and do a show like that, it would literally just be ripped apart.
I mean, you're not wrong, and that's why I think like if
Yes,
you
we
know,
are.
the Daredevil Netflix show came out modernly, people would hate it because it had episodes like that, but it all dropped as one. So what happened is, in order to talk about it, people would binge through the whole thing, and they had already consumed everything.
Which brings me back to what you said about it being cost prohibitive. It really just depends on the scope of the story that would be 22 episodes, but it gives the platform life throughout the season. Right?
Agreed.
Because 8 episodes is just what we've spent just the last month and a half or 2 months.
Well, so you have George Lucas specifically talked about why he didn't do a TV show because he absolutely wanted to. He wanted to do live action TV, but it said it was far too expensive to be done. Difference with Star Wars being, you're in a different galaxy, right? You know, it boggles my mind when people are like, well, then how come Game of Thrones can do this? And you're like, yeah, it's people in a castle, and occasionally there's a dragon, right? They don't have to Star Warsify everything and everything everyone's wearing and everything everyone is holding and
They can
build
go to an
these
existing
structures,
castle.
No,
Yeah.
he was talking about TV though. I'm talking
Yeah.
about giving life to streaming
Me too.
platforms. Huh?
Yeah, I know what's talking about TV as well.
Well, the difference between streaming and TV is that people had bundled that shit into their cable packages, right? And so with the streaming platform model, people can just cancel whatever they want a la carte. And so when it comes to like a 22 episode season versus an 8 episode season, you can stretch people's memberships if they only sign up to watch a show over 22 weeks versus 8 weeks. They cancel until the next show that interests them comes back. You know what I mean? Got was ton of built sets too, entire castles, and filming in Dubrovnik alone is insane. Massive cast, crazy good CGI. The costs are visible.
And I'm not saying it was cheap to make or anything like that.
Oh,
I was
certainly
just
not.
using it as an example. But if you were to tell the same stories that was in Star Wars, it would be like creating all of the aliens, creating, you know what I mean? CG budget was fantastic. The dragons looked great, but there's less of it overall, typically. That sort of thing.
Sounds like we need a strictly planet-side Star Wars story like Boba Fett without Mando 2.5 shenanigans. There's still potential for a Boba Fett show to kind of redeem itself, to be honest. It's just weird because we're in a era where a lot of things are converging on this timeline. Because even this show is after the Return of the Jedi and, you know, similarly placed chronologically with Mandalorian and Ahsoka. So we're in this kind of weird in between 6 and 7. And what we want is something else.
Right.
I mean, I would like something new, but I would also, and I don't know, maybe this is maybe being too hopeful, but I feel like Clone Wars Season 1 wasn't that great. I think that Rebel Season 1 was the worst of its seasons. It was still good, but it was the worst. And I feel like every single thing that Star Wars does, show-wise, gets better over time. And I think we are losing something by giving up on some of these shows. I think Book of Boba Fett, like you said, is a great example of something where we can get a second season. And can you imagine where Tatooine is now run by the bounty hunters that Boba Fett knew, and they kind of become their own separate faction that's former bounty hunters who just wanted to have a better life and like not die in stupid conflicts by idiots that don't know what they're doing. I think that there's a rich story that could come out of that.
Blue Eagle Gamer says KVS could show up.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Umberly. She's down to do it. I bet. We got Cal Kestis. We have, so surprisingly enough, we have a lot of like game characters that have actors. So it's kind of like, y'all don't need to do much work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems so weird that they haven't tapped into that. It's like they've already performed well, and it's the same person. Like, it's even their face in the game. You don't even need to do it. Just let them do it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, I don't know. Back in the day, Dave Filoni picking people that could play a live-action counterpart to the character is just ingenious, you know?
Yeah.
That's what James Gunn is doing now.
Blue Eagle Gamer says on TikTok side, those on here remember to follow their YouTube. Yes. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. So you
deploy
know
the
we're
likes.
live. You know, we have these conversations twice a week. And it's going to be like that even when the clock app hits the snooze button.
Yeah.
There's this weird phenomenon going on with like Red Note and Lemonade, and I'm like, I don't know, like, even though I know the provenance of TikTok, I still feel weird about migrating to a platform with Chinese in its name. You know?
At this point in time, I feel safer giving my data to China than I do what's going on. I'm sorry.
Ironically enough, yeah.
Thoughts on the Hound playing Balin? I mean, I heard that they were friends in real life, and you know, I think if he can do it or sees the vision, I can't say that I've seen him in any other role. But to have him, you know, the Hound being this like conflicted, messed up, kind of evil, reluctant dad, I do get the same flavor. But we'll have to see, because Balin was, to me, far and away the most interesting character in Ahsoka.
Which is a shame, because the show was titled Ahsoka.
Which is, I mean, doubly shame. I feel that way about Sabine and not Ahsoka.
It's again, it's that case of Arrested Development. We keep retreading on characters, and because we keep doing that, we can't let those characters ever grow and change and evolve, and that's why all these new characters get all the interesting stories. You know what I mean? Like, from the comic book universe, people were mad because Miles Morales was getting more adventures and powers and abilities and stuff than Peter. And you're like, you won't let Peter do anything.
That's
you make
why
him, you let him look at Mary Jane for like 10 minutes, and then they never talk. And I don't know, it's stupid.
That's why I love The Last Jedi so much, is because it let Luke be a character.
And let him leave a legacy rather than...
Yeah, and not just be the same copy-paste appearance.
I grew up loving Luke, having him as my favorite character. As an adult, I can honestly look back on the original trilogy and say he had very little development, like, on the screen. He was different in between movies. We'd see stuff happen, and he did stuff, but the effect of that stuff didn't really do anything until the next movie.
Yeah,
you know, and it works for some things. It works for, you know, basic, you know, action films and stuff like that. I don't know. I want more of my storytelling now.
I think that's the interesting thing for me, is I grew up never understanding why people like were huge fans of Luke, because I was like, he doesn't really do anything. Like, he's different in every movie. He just is like what they need him to be for the plot. But like, I don't get the appeal. And it wasn't until The Last Jedi that I was like, oh my gosh, you are like now a character that I really enjoy now.
His appeal was he was a self-insert. He was someone that we watched and we were like, yeah, I want to kiss the girl. Oh no, she's my sister. Never mind. Um,
He was
I want to
whiny
have the lightsaber.
He was
you know?
whiny in the first one, impulsive in the second one, and holier than thou in the third one.
Yeah, and it just
And then in
it didn't
TLJ,
resonate with me.
He was a character that had all of that in his past, and it was weighing on him and making him real.
Well,
And
I
just
think
the
JJ
concept of
says it
failure.
perfect here in the chat. It says Luke is a classic archetype in those films. And TLJ, they made him more 360. That's exactly it. He was an archetype of a character. You know. And it drives me crazy when people refer to following the hero's journey as a requirement to be a good story. But you're also, at the same time, you can't, like... Listen, the main character can't be named John Everyman, you know?
I find those stories the most boring. Like, I find, like, if you're following the textbook hero's journey, then you know what's going to happen. It's no longer interesting. It's just cookie cutter, the same thing over and over again.
Well, the thing
For me,
about-
it's when you stray away from it and you let the character be uniquely their own character and have their own struggle or
that's the
outcome
thing.
or whatever the case may be.
That's all still part of the hero's journey. The hero's journey is just a framework, and what you do with the meat and bones of each step is what kind of defines how good of a character development you have, right? In the case of Luke in the original trilogy, they were just showing him in the steps of it, and there was nothing in between that was giving us the meat of the journey, you know? And TLJ gave us that, and he wasn't even the main character.
Yeah. Let's see here. Spooky Kitty. Luke is my favorite. I still love Luke. I always have, and I always will.
He didn't really do it for me until TLJ.
Yeah, that was me. For me, I grew up like I didn't really have anybody in the original trilogy that I like latched onto as like that's my character from the series to latch onto, and it wasn't until the prequels with Obi-Wan that I was like, okay, you're the character that I'm gonna latch onto.
Another happy landing. Luke was everything in the original trilogy the characters in recent years get crapped on for. Yeah. All of the tourists in the carpet nuggets will crap on everything, not knowing anything. Really, that's their main problem, is they don't know anything.
Yeah. Listen, the carpet nuggets have unwatch parties. How pathetic is that? Like, how little joy must you have in your life to want to watch other people enjoying things and be angry at it? It's really sad.
That is really just pathetic.
I didn't even have a title for that, but yeah, you're right. The Knights of Melvin, if they're still watching, if they were trying to troll us and, you know, put a damper on our spirits,
Can't be done.
An unwatch party. That's a cool name for it.
In the past, I'd say can't stop, won't stop, but I can't really quote Diddy anymore, can I? Anyway.
Well, you can say you're quoting Lucio now, but that's still...
You can quote one of my favorite K-pop idols who got a hate message on their live stream, and they said, I don't know why you would leave a hate message. Must mean that your life's not interesting. So
Young
they're
Nas
glad
Man
to
said
receive the
Peter's
hate comments
happily
and give them
married with
interesting
kids in the new Ultimate run. I still need to check that out. I do think that's a really interesting story. You know, it's basically what if Spider-Man got his powers after he was already married and had kids. And so it's, instead of being like the young teenager, it's a whole different spin on it.
Yeah. Important to note, I think American Monolith versus Campbellian Monolith. George opting for Campbellian was a brave choice.
Remind me, American Monolith is typically like you typically see it in westerns where you're like the old grizzled guy who they're bringing out something happens in your town and you have to come down the hill and be like, one last ride. That's what I think of when I hear American Monolith.
I thought I was out, but they brought me back in.
People keep asking if I'm back. I'm gonna just stop the recording here because we've gone way past Skeleton Crew.
Yep. Pure vamp territory.
Yeah. One could argue that DYAD went on a sort of an American monomyth. I think, yeah, I can see that. How are you, Barnaby's?
How how sad of an existence is that, though? To look at other people having fun and just sit there and be like, that's so like textbook lame idiot from like a cartoon show from like the early 2000s. It's like, okay, calm down.
It's textbook the meme.
Dinkelberg!
Exactly.
That's
It's like, come on. It's so dumb.
It's the meme
Like, just
of that
have
stick
fun.
figure stick figure
It's not that
yelling, "Stop
complicated."
having fun!" You know.
Yeah. Your fun is wrong.
Still mad they haven't built on the sequels yet, and all the carpet nuggets pray for the worst when any news drop. They pray for the worst. Period. I mean, it's not. You don't need to have news drop. You can literally have Brie Larson show up in a commercial and be like, "Cereal, I like it," and they would make like 20 videos about how Brie Larson is wokeifying cereal and attacking men because cereal, you know. How dare you enjoy things? Yeah. I'm doing well. Wanted to pop in and hear your thoughts.
disappears.
Appreciate you, buddies. How did you enjoy it?
I was like waiting for a response. You're like, oh, that's just someone in chat. I know. I mean, the next thing we got to look forward to is Andor, which I'm excited.
Can't wait.
Because don't tell Young, but my wife is in this. We compete over over Bix's love.
Actually,
yes,
no,
JJ, we are also live on TikTok.
Actually, the next thing we have to look forward to is Star
Visions?
Wars party on Saturday.
This is true.
When's Vision season 3?
Tomorrow.
Really?
I said that with so much
No,
confidence.
but did they give us a date? Last time they dropped it on Star Wars Day, right?
I'm so out of the loop on release schedule that I'm like, somebody could tell me that new Jedi Order comes out next week, and I'd be like, oh, really? I haven't even seen a trailer.
I mean,
I don't
Visions
watch
is one thing
trailers, so-
that they drop without fanfare and just like, because remember last time
It's some of my favorite.
for
You were
season
lying
2,
about Mappa.
when they announced the date, it was like 3 weeks. They're like, it's coming out at the end of this month, and you're like, what?
So Mappa's not a part of it.
Oh,
But all they said was 2025. We have David Production. We have Kamikaze Doga plus Anima, Kinema Citrus returning. Polygon Pictures, Production IG.
didn't
Studio
Kamikaze
Q.
Doga do Ronin?
No, Kamikaze Doga did the Batman Ninja type. Oh wait, no, yeah, they did it.
If
This is the same
I go to the
style.
party, can I bring my guitar? Absolutely, I'd be insulted if you did. No, it's gonna be like there's gonna be like DJ. It's gonna be pretty loud. So if you're bringing a guitar, you'll be quiet in the corner.
Studio
But
Trigger.
I
and
don't
Wit
think they'd
Studio.
stop you.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. The X button to close images on StarWars.com are 2 lightsabers.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah.
I've stopped paying attention to avoid all the crybabies reporting nonsense. That's fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I took a break, especially from Twitter, for a while, and then I went back like 2 days ago, and it was so bad. I was like, is it always this bad, or did my absence
Hoarders
refresh
don't
my
fix
existence?
themselves that quickly.
Yeah.
I stick to Blue Sky. JJ says, I'm here now. I watch Chud channels for fun, especially Melvin. That dude is a lol cow. Yeah, I mean, listen, if they're going to watch us just have fun, then I don't care. I'm still having fun. Let's see.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely be heard. 60-pound amp.
I still don't think that would be heard. Because the venue has much louder monitors and much bigger woofers and stuff. I don't even know what.
Okay,
it is,
but your
it is
amp is it a Gallo 12 or a Gallo 24?
Listen, don't let that distract you from the fact that Hector's going to be running 3 Civics with spoon engines. And he just came into Harry's and picked up T66 turbos.
And a Motec exhaust.
Those are words.
How many watts? John Watts.
I laugh because when a new show or movie is good, like this, they resort to bring up the same story about how they hate something else that has nothing to do with this current show. Yeah, it's weird.
Show's good. So let's talk about Acolyte again.
Yeah.
I looked at the post about the Kylo Ren comic, and after a while, the comments became very carpet nugget. Lucky they can't read.
Yeah, that was a cool announcement, though. So we're getting a new Kylo Ren run of comics that is about his time period as the supreme leader of the First Order. So
That's
this
what you
is,
wanted, right?
Yeah. Well, that's part of what I wanted. Yeah. Yeah. This is all about him running the First Order. This is the direct sequel to The Last Jedi, and I need it. I need it. Just inject it into my veins, please.
No, I just remember when we're talking about like criticisms of the sequel trilogy, we were like, we needed a story of Kylo Ren being the supreme leader.
Yeah, and I agree. That was just, and I know what you were saying. It was just like a simplification of it. Again, though, just the cliff notes. If I was redoing the sequel trilogy, I would actually mash The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi together into a film with the broad strokes.
Would you?
And then put a whole nother film in between, for number 8, there.
Would you boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew?
I feel like that pose is asking for Photoshop. I was like me shaking pants on that one stream. Quick, somebody gif it. Just have yeah. Oh.
Named Legacy of Vader. Yes, that's the name of it, and it's being written by Charles Soule. So you know it's gonna. Oh yeah,
Charles Soule.
Charles Soule.
I'm led to believe pre-orders have sway in comics. I mean, pre-orders have sway.
They needed 4 movies. I mean, I don't disagree. I think that trilogies are an outdated metric. I don't think you should artificially constrain yourself like that. It feels weird.
Just tell a story. If it needs 4 movies, it takes 4 movies. If it takes 2, it takes 2. If you can do it in 1, cool.
That's why when someone who's early on in my TikTok career, someone asked me, how would you do the Old Republic? And my video was naming 12 titles.
Yeah, I remember.
I was like, Jesus. We'll do the Dark Council. We'll do the Ritual of Anathema. We'll do all of this, and this will all be just movies for one plot line instead of
it's like the MCU.
Fatal Alliance, because Fatal Alliance itself would probably be a couple of movies.
Yeah.
Or just HBO style season shows, to be honest.
Honestly, I think that's what I would wind up preferring. Because it gives you enough time to kind of dissect the amount of story you've gotten and appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to see
I mean, if they could
on
do-
HBO.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh. Woo! No, but if they could,
now
if
he's
they
cooking.
could do, if they could do what the Penguin show did for the Batman, oh my god! Like take a concept from this over, and then just like a little carve out your little nugget that's just taking place in that world, and it expanded on those events so beautifully.
Who's a minor villain character you'd want to see a show like Penguin for?
For Star Wars,
But
or
from
for
Star
anything?
Wars. From Star Wars.
This is all throughout, even Legends.
Sure.
I mean, it's hard to say now because of all the books that we have gotten, but my mind goes to Phasma. I don't know if you've read the Phasma book, but it is insane.
My mind
It's-
goes to
It's Mad Max Fury Road, but in Star Wars, and it's crazy. Give me that.
my mind goes to, and this isn't a spoiler, Lorna D.
That'd be tight.
Because Tempest Breaker is pretty lit.
Mine
I mean, I
might
wrote my
be-
own story. It's called Step on Me, Lorna D.
Hey, yo. That's, what is that, on AO3?
Yep.
Popular.
For me, oddly enough, similar vein to Choco's, but Hux. Because
Yeah.
he's a phenomenal actor, and I feel like was a little underserved in his role, but also like the amount of like crawling, like literally clawing his way to that position that he had to go through would make for an insane show, I think.
I think
Okay, give me a Bill Burr in space. What's his name
again?
I always forget because he's just Space
Yeah.
Boston to me.
What-
But like,
hold on. Nope.
I keep on thinking Mulligan or something.
It's in that
It starts
vein.
with an
I'm
M.
gonna Google it.
okay, but like, you can. It'd be like
Mass James
almost
would
like
be
a band of brothers.
Miggs Mayfield.
Yes, Miggs Mayfield. But be like a Band of Brothers type thing. Because
That'd be tight.
he was serving with them. And then he went through Operation Cinder when the Empire turned on its own troops on everyone to try and burn the whole planet to the ground, and like how that changed him. And like that could be
Movie, yeah.
if you just like started one episode before Operation Cinder began and then started telling the story from there. Oh my god.
That would, like, Operation Cinder being the intro to
Yeah.
the
Oh,
series, like
cold open.
an opening to it. Oh my god, that'd be so good.
Not a villain.
Oh, I
to
want
give
that
me
now. I'm
Quinlan
really
Voss.
upset. I'm really upset that that's not like in the works.
Because
Geek
he
of
could
all-
be super pro Empire and all this stuff, and like, yeah, we're serving us. They've turned on us, and they don't care. Oh, yeah.
I would also love it because it would put him in Star Wars again, something that he's routinely made fun of. But to be like the main character in a series, I think that'd be wild and delightfully ironic.
Geek of all trades, speaking to my heart. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've called for a Quinlan Voss spin-off show. I just think his character would work in any setting as a foil in Mandalorian, or even just a wrench. As a savior in Skeleton Crew. Or just
I honestly
the
thought we were going to
anti-
see him in Kenobi.
I would love to see him in a show about the path.
One thing, if I could change for the sequel trilogy, I'd want Kylo to be the final big bad rather than Palp. Like, the layup was right there. He could have been the greatest evil in the galaxy. I'm in the same boat, and in a recent interview, semi-recent, but Adam Driver talked about how that was always the plan, and so that's how he continued to play the actor. And it wasn't until episode 9 that they changed the direction on it.
Oh.
So that always bums me out.
All right. Looks like that'll do it for this Watch Party Skeleton Crew finale stream. Thank you to Cal for joining us for the finale. Thank you to everyone on YouTube. Don't forget to give this stream a like, subscribe, and be happy. And everyone on the TikTok side, follow us on Blue Sky. Subscribe to our YT side as well. This is our hero platform from now. Should the clock app go the way of the dodo, then you'll find us here. But that's it. On to the next one.
For Light and for Life.
We are all bilge rats. Goopas.
Pirates?
And we got Neil with the gun.
You.
Dang.
May the force be with you.